All right, today we're going to talk about something that, on the surface, seems so simple, right? So fundamental. But breastfeeding is actually one of the most complex journeys a new parent can go on. It's talked about one way, but for so many, it's experienced in a completely different way. So let's dive in.
You've heard it a million times, I'm sure. Oh, it's the most natural way to feed a baby. And look, biologically speaking, that's totally true. But if you talk to millions of parents out there, natural is probably the last word they'd use. And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. If it's supposed to be so natural, why in the world is it so hard for so many?
Okay, so before we get into all the hurdles and the difficulties, we've got to understand what we're actually talking about here. Because, this is about so much more than just a meal. It's this deep biological connection that has some pretty amazing health implications. This is what's so wild. Breast milk isn't just milk. It's not a static formula. It's a living, dynamic substance. Seriously, it actually changes day to day, sometimes even hour to hour, adapting perfectly to what that specific baby needs in that exact moment. It's like a custom-made immune system and a personalized nutrition plan, all rolled into one. So yeah, it really is like a shield for a brand new life. It's not just about calories for growth. We're talking about crucial antibodies that help fight off infections. It even helps protect against really serious conditions, like necrotizing enterocolitis, which is a dangerous intestinal disease, and even things like viruses and sepsis. The bottom line is, it's a huge foundational pillar for building a baby's entire immune system from the ground up.
Okay, so if the biological case for it is so powerful, then what gives? Where's the disconnect? Well, that brings us right to the universal hurdles, the things that create this massive gap between the ideal of breastfeeding and the often painful realities so many families face.
And here it is. This is a huge piece of the puzzle. The number one reason mothers stop breastfeeding isn't usually because they physically can't produce enough milk. It's the feeling, the perception that they can't. It's a real thing. It's even got a name, perceived insufficient milk. And let me tell you, it is an incredibly powerful and really common psychological barrier.
Right? And that internal feeling, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's created and amplified by this pressure cooker of forces coming from all sides. Internally, you've got maternal stress, so much guilt, and sometimes health issues that can delay things. But then from the outside, you're hit with aggressive formula marketing, zero support when you go back to work, and even these breast-like bottles that can sometimes make things harder. It all feeds into that feeling of inadequacy.
So with all that pressure, what's the result? Well, get this. One study found that the rate of exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months, which is the standard recommendation, was just 31.4%. Think about that. That single number tells you everything you need to know about the incredible scale of the challenge we're talking about here.
And let's zoom in on that marketing for a second. The World Health Organization actually has an international code designed to stop misleading marketing of formula. But that code is, well, it's violated all the time. This marketing often makes formula look like this perfect, easy solution, which plants seeds of doubt in a mother's mind about her own ability and makes it seem like formula is just a simple one-for-one replacement. Wow, okay, that all sounds pretty overwhelming, right? But the story doesn't stop with the problems. The key to getting over these hurdles is to build a real ecosystem of support, something that stretches all the way from your closest relationships right up to public policy.
So it all starts close to home, in that inner circle. Having a partner with a positive attitude, that's hugely linked to success. Getting good advice and actual hands-on help from family, like a grandmother, absolutely crucial. And then you have peer support groups and lactation consultants who can offer that reassurance and expert advice right when you feel like you're about to give up.
And the power of that community support, man, it can be a total game changer, especially with online groups, which are just so vital now. Suddenly you have instant access to people who know what they're talking about, you can share what you're going through and realize you're not alone, which helps chip away at that isolation and guilt. It normalizes the struggle, And that builds confidence and helps people feel empowered to keep going.
But all that personal support can only do so much. You need a bigger structure in place, and that's where policy comes in. Things like the Baby-Friendly Hospital Initiative, which makes sure you get support right from day one, or actually enforcing that WHO code to protect families from misleading ads. And of course, policies we all know are critical, like paid maternity leave and real accommodations at work. They aren't just nice to have, they're absolutely essential for giving parents the time and space they actually need.
So, we've looked at the biology, we've seen the hurdles, and we've talked about the layers of support. So, where do we go from here? What's the path forward?
Well, the path forward really means we have to reframe this entire conversation.
Whether someone succeeds or fails at breastfeeding isn't some measure of their personal effort or worth, not at all. It's a direct reflection of the support system, or lack thereof, around them. It is not a one-person job. It is a collective responsibility. It's on partners, families, communities, our healthcare systems, everyone.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. What if we stopped looking at this as just a private, personal choice and started treating feeding support for all parents like critical infrastructure? You know, something as vital to public health as clean water or safe roads. What would that look like? Something to think about.